Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this practice, an inward journey. The intention for the practice is to give you an opportunity to soften, to ideally settle your nervous system a little bit, and to enjoy the experience of coming home to yourself. We'll utilize some very simple tantric yoga methodology that will allow for a slightly more internalizing orientation. We'll work with the breath, we'll work with the body, and we will work directly with the vagus nerve to create a more authentic and sustainable calm and clarity, if all goes according to plan, or even if a little bit does. All righty, let's give it a try. So go ahead and make your way to your mat, and I will just identify that at some point in time, you're very likely going to see my dog come into the picture. He's just here to add his special kind of love to the experience. All righty. So begin by just finding any seat that is relatively comfortable for you. I'm going to start on my knees, on my shins. If that's not comfy for you, then please adjust accordingly. Find something that is. And start with a soft focus, but with the eyes open. Just lower the lids a bit. And invite your gaze to rest on something out in front of you that isn't likely to move. Let the gaze rest there rather than engaging with a more penetrating or piercing stare. The eyes are just softly settled there. And then take a moment to bring the palms of the hands together, not pressing firmly, but just gently touching. So maybe a slow movement of the hands, slow, soft, rhythmic. Gently caressing the palms of your hands. First one and then the other. Maybe let the fingers slide in and out between one another. Soft and slow enough that you can really feel into the sensations that present themselves. And then bring that sense of touch to the face. Again, working very gently. Maybe start by just caressing the forehead, moving up along toward the hairline in gentle circles or semicircles. Tracing the eyebrows out along the temples, again toward the hairline. Tracing along the cheekbone, the lower ridge of the eye socket. Gentle, not pulling the skin, but just running the fingers lightly across. And then down the bridge of the nose, along the outer crease of the mouth, along the jaw. Inviting the muscles of the face to soften even more. to let go of the tension associated with maintaining the mask that we wear for the external world. And then again, delicately using the fingertips, trace the outer ridge of the ear down to the earlobe, back up and around a couple of times with a sense of curiosity. And the inner ridge of the ear. And then starting behind the ears, reaching up and back behind the ear, and then gently drawing the fingertips down the sides of the neck, out along the tops of the shoulders. Engage with that a few times, and if you want to stop and offer a little massage anywhere, you're welcome to. You're also welcome to adjust your seated position whenever, however you'd like. And then still using soft hands, delicate fingers, just the front of the throat, down toward the collarbones, sides of the throat as well. Tender, gentle caresses. Let that come to the shoulders, down the arms, almost as though you are slow motion bathing, savoring this touch. The experience of skin to skin contact. Bringing the hands to the chest, maybe tracing along the upper and lower collarbone. And then perhaps just gently pressing the palm of one hand and then the other into that space around the heart. Not with any expectation, not imposing anything at all, just gifting presence, attention, and touch. You can linger there for as long as you'd like, or maybe start to use the palms of the hands to explore the space of the belly. If you, like me, have a habit of holding tension, tightness, contraction in the belly, let this be your invitation to let that go. And invite the belly to soften, to become round and expansive. Give yourself permission to take up some space. We often see mothers very tenderly caressing their own womb and giving physical love through the sensation of touch to the life that is being created within. Can you give yourself that love, that nurturance, that devotion? Unconditioned. And then maybe hold the palms relatively still for a moment. Try wrapping the arms low and loose around the belly. Let the weight of the forearms and elbows just press gently into the belly. Everything soft and kind of heavy, kind of squishy. And breathe into that little bit of resistance provided by the weight of the arms. The breath now is more diaphragmatic, letting the chest remain relatively still and experiencing the gentle expansion and release of the breath in the space of the belly. Continue to allow the breath to be governed by the diaphragm. That's its purpose after all. But start to make your way onto your hands and your knees. If you were sitting like I was, your legs might be a little tired. So go ahead and give the feet a gentle tap behind you. And for the next 30 seconds or so, you can either choose stillness or start to explore slow, somewhat rhythmic, entirely intuitive movement. The eyes can stay softly open or they can begin to flutter closed or oscillate between the two, whichever you prefer, whichever serves you best. And what does it mean to move intuitively? To allow yourself to be guided by what the body wants and needs, rather than by what the mind has determined is best. For a lot of us, that is a very tall order because we're not accustomed to asking ourselves what it is that we want and need in any given moment. So just play. Maybe you're familiar with some yogic movement that you can do on your hands and knees. So maybe start with that. See how it feels. Do you like it? Do you want to be playing with that? Or is there something else that maybe would feel even better? And as you explore, resist the temptation to judge or label any of your choices, the experience in general. Try to resist judging me, but if you absolutely must, don't worry, I can handle it. And then we'll come together for a little bit more strategic movement. Spread the fingers. Roll the shoulders back a few times, really gentle. So we're not grinding into the joint. We're just very freely rotating. A little bit of buoyancy in the joints. And roll them forward. Take the pelvis around in a few circles. Slowly or quickly or a combination of both. If you've been going in one direction, feel free to switch and head the opposite way. Give your tail a little wag. Let the head hang and gently roll from side to side. Maybe shake the head no, just releasing some of the tightness in the neck and shoulders. Now moving through cow and cat a few times. As you inhale, wrap the triceps back, glide the collarbones and the sternum forward. Feel some contractions and engagement in the musculature of the back body as you lift the crown of the head and tailbone. And then reverse that, starting to stretch into the back as you contract through the belly and tuck the chin. Again, on inhale, roll the shoulders back, glide the collarbones through, stretching the chest and the belly, activating the muscles of the back. Exhale, stretch the back and activate the muscles in the abdomen. Inhale, open up. Try stretching through the throat as well without crunching or constricting the neck. Exhale, stretch the back of the neck and constrict a little bit around the throat. Inhale, open up. And exhale, round the spine. With the next inhale, come back to the hands and the knees. Find a relatively neutral tabletop. And with the thighs and shins parallel to one another. For the next several breaths, with each exhale, we're going to draw the hips back, but as we do, we're rounding a bit. We're going to soften the elbows, so we're not going into a traditional child's pose. Instead, we're intentionally softening the elbows, lowering the forearms, lowering the hips, lowering the forehead, and drawing awareness in and down. And then on inhale, we'll slowly roll back up. Let's try that again. On exhale, lower the chin, start to round the spine. As the hips get heavier, soften the elbows, lowering the forearms and the forehead. And inhale to roll back up. Now let's try gradually extending the exhales. Exhale for 5 counts as you draw back and in. Inhale back to hands and knees. 5 counts again. Inhale for about 4 counts to rise back up. 6 counts down and back. Slow, steady exhale. Inhale for 4 to rise back up. 6 count exhale again. Inhale up. 7 counts back and down. Four counts up. 7 counts. 4 counts up. And an 8 count exhale, drawing the hips back and down. 4 count inhale to lift up. Last time, 8 count exhale, back knee down. And then 4 count inhale up. Exhale again freely this time, back to that modified child's pose, and then linger here for a few easy breaths. Soft hands, soft face. With your next inhale, as it arrives, rise back up to the hands and the knees, tuck the toes, and on exhale, draw your hips up and back, downward facing dog. So downward facing dog is a posture that gets a lot of play in most studios, but most of us don't really know why we're doing it. Down dog falls into the category of spinal extension. So it's not so much about straighten the legs and root down through the heels and then compromise the spine in doing so. It's more about extend, lengthen the spine, roll the sits bones up and back, and then bend the knees, keep the heels lifted if and where necessary. It's also not about sink into the back bend of it all, overextending through the shoulders. Again, it's about extension. How long can you invite the spine to become in the posture? If we want to make adjustments at all, it's in the elbows, it's in the knees, it's in the hands and the feet. The spine and its alignment are our priority. One more breath here. And then inhale, simply lower back down to the knees. And exhale, sit back on the heels in a variation of Virasana pose. So more or less your tush comes between your heels. If this is not possible for whatever reason, either sit on a bolster, a blanket, bring your legs out in front of you, opt for a cross-legged seat. Again, prioritize alignment in the spine. Try to sit as tall and straight as you can. And arrange your legs however necessary to accommodate that. If there's any tightness or lift in the shoulders, let them go. Try to lengthen a bit more through the back of the neck. Lower the right ear in the direction of the right shoulder, and then slowly draw your chin towards your chest. Left ear moves toward the left shoulder, and then back and down, chin toward the chest. Right ear toward the right shoulder, chin to chest. Left ear to left shoulder, chin to chest. Couple more times. Soft, steady, rhythmic movement. Feeling into the sensations that arise. And next time the chin comes down toward the chest, bring the head upright again. And then lift the chin, stretch the throat. Open the mouth, so drop the jaw. And then close it. Keep doing that. The idea is to stretch through the neck, and specifically the bottom of the jaw, bottom of the chin. Once more. Inhale, straighten the back of the neck again. Exhale, relax. So again, if you're on your shins, then just shift your hips off to one side. If you're cross-legged, you can stay as you are. If you've got your hips moved off to one side, then you're going to reach your right hand or your hand out in the direction of the feet that are off to that side. So you're kind of in like a mermaid sort of a position. Relax the shoulders, lightly sweep the opposite arm up and gently over. Inhale and just lift slightly. And exhale, soften back into that lateral side body stretch. In and out a few more times. See if you can maintain smooth, steady breath and move in a way that supports that steady rhythm. And the next time you're in that lateral stretch, linger for a moment. And with the following inhale, lift up again. Exhale, lower the floating arm and come back into neutral. So if you were in a cross-legged seat, maybe get ready to switch to the opposite leg. So you just put the opposite leg either in front or on top. Or if you're in Virasana, come back onto the heels. Make the adjustments. You're working with the other side. Walk the fingers out. Inhale, float the opposite arm up. Exhale, soften to stretch. And then again, moving dynamically, rhythmically. Inhale, rise. And exhale, draw back into that gentle stretch. Notice where you might be imposing expectations, where you might be ignoring sensations. See if you can soften into what's actually happening and find a way to be kind to yourself through both movement and stillness. The next time you're in that lateral side body stretch, linger for a moment. Continue to breathe. With the next inhale, let's lift upright again, both arms extending alongside the ears this time. Exhale, let the arms come down. If you're off to one side, return to center. And give yourself a moment just to notice whatever there is to notice. Maybe it's physical sensations. Maybe it's the breath. It might be thoughts or quality of thinking. It could also be something that you suddenly become aware of in your environment. For me, there's bird song and the sound of my dog softly snoring. Go ahead and take a seat with the legs out in front of you. Feet are going to be about mat width apart. Arms are back behind you, just so you can lean back a little bit and take some of the pressure out of the hip joints. Inhale here, and on exhale, let both knees come down to the right. Just stretch into the hip a little bit. Nice and easy. Inhale back to the center, and on exhale, the knees lower to the left. Inhale, lift back up through the center. Exhale. We're going to keep going back and forth. Again, see if you can establish a slow, soft, smooth, steady rhythm to the breath, which is then supported by the movement. The next time the knees are off to the right, let them stay. Lift the left hand and start to walk the hands a little bit further around to the right, coming into a bit of a twist. It might feel better in your body to bend the elbows and fold into the twist a little bit. Stay with it and breathe. With the next inhale, come back through the center, let the knees lift. Exhale, take a moment to just hang out here. One more inhale. And with exhale, let the knees lower to the left. And again, lift the right hand, walk the hands around, finding your twist. You may want to bend the elbows and fold into the twist somewhat. Stay with the breath. Stay with the sensation. Too often, our yoga practice becomes yet another way to ignore and override the communication coming from the body, from the nervous system, and even from our own mind. Rather than that knee-jerk reaction of ignore and override, can you instead choose to be curious, to be compassionate toward what arises, and to be courageous in the way that you greet it and potentially address the information that it provides. When you're ready on an inhale, unravel, coming back through to the center, lifting the knees again. Exhale, just hang out a moment. Let's stretch the legs out in front, this time with them relatively straight. My mat always goes crooked in that just little bit of obsession with order gets the better of me. So I'm going to indulge it and try to straighten it out a bit. Better. Okay. Give the legs a little shake. Let the legs flop in and out. Wiggle the toes. Keep the rest of the body relaxed. Almost like you're sitting at the beach. You roll the ankles, or sitting by a lake or a stream, embracing the playful spirit of water. See if you can bounce the knees, almost like you're splashing water underneath the legs. Rhythmic, arrhythmic, whatever suits you. Place the hands wherever you'd like, maybe alongside the body, on top of the thighs, underneath. If you want to bend the knees, you can hold on to the backs of the knees. With an inhale, just stretch the spine as long and tall as it'll go right now. And with an exhale, softly fold forward. Inhale, long, tall spine. Exhale, softly fold forward. Inhale, long, tall spine. Exhale, softly fold forward. One more time, inhale, long, tall spine. Exhale, fold forward. Excuse me. Stay in the fold. Clear your throat if you need to, and just rest here a moment. Forward folds are excellent physical postures for supporting internalized awareness. Just notice if you reach a certain threshold where resistance begins to give way, where you stop striving and let go of performing in favor of just being. We're here for a little bit longer, so adjust if you're holding any unnecessary tension, if you're still trying harder than you need to. Make adjustments so that this can become more enjoyable and lead to an experience of surrender. And maybe bring back that practice of extending the exhale. So maybe the exhale grows to twice the length of the inhale, 4 in, 8 out, for example. Play with that. With the next inhale, use your hands and arms for support to gently lift the torso upright again. And on an exhale, try to soften the shoulders down the back, lengthen the neck and the spine. Eyes are either soft or completely closed. And again, we're just noticing. Bend the knees now, scooching up toward the top of your mat or blanket or towel, whatever you're using. Drape the arms across the shins if that's possible. Take a moment to roll the shoulders back and just lift the sternum and collarbones. Lengthen the back of the neck and maybe delicately lift the chin. Lift your gaze as well so you're looking above the horizon and just breathe here for a moment. One more inhale. And on the exhale, start to soften and roll yourself down onto the mat. We're going to keep the knees bent. Walk the feet a little bit closer to your seat. And rest here a moment. See if it's possible to draw the shoulder blades a little further down the back so your shoulders aren't crowding your ears or your neck. Palms can face down alongside the body. Feet roughly hip distance, parallel to one another. Moving in and out of bridge pose dynamically. On an inhale, press into the heels and start to float the tailbone up toward and beyond the knees. On exhale, gently roll back down as though you're painting the spine down in a straight line onto the mat. Let's do that again. Inhale, press into the heels, float the tailbone up and away. Exhale, roll back down. Twice more. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale to lower and release. Once more. Soften here. Maybe bring the heels of the feet a little further away from center. Let the toes point in and let the knees rest against one another. Bring the thighs back to parallel, feet back to parallel. Draw your thighs in towards your belly. Place the hands on the knees. And then just rock the thighs away from the belly and back and toward the belly a few times. Gently rock from side to side. If you start to lose your balance, you're probably just going further than you need to. So relax a little bit. Or you're maybe drawing your thighs in further than they need to be. So again, loosen your grip. And start to take the knees together around in some little circles, as though there is a face of a clock printed on your lower back, and you're pressing each number down sequentially. Again, if you're losing your balance, you're probably just trying too hard. So do less. Switch directions. Back through to the center, maybe a couple little additional rocks forward and back or side to side. Let the hands and the feet float up. The arms and the legs do not need to be straight. It's actually beneficial if they're not. Start to give the arms, the legs, the hands, and the feet a gentle shape, a little quiver. Do your best to maintain a smooth, steady breath, even as the body shakes and quakes a little bit. We're going to stay with this for about 15 more seconds. It might feel good to flutter your lips. Or yawn. Good. With the next inhale, stretch the arms and the legs straight, reaching up toward the sky, maybe even lifting the chin a little bit. And then soften and melt all the way down to the ground. Experiment with where your arms and your legs want to be. Is there any other movement that your body desires? Maybe a stretch, a wiggle, contract, release, twist. Back to that intuitive movement. When you feel like you're ready to soften and settle in, if it's okay, try placing the palms of the hands on the belly. And through the hands, experience the subtle movement of the belly. In tandem with the breath. keep one hand on the belly and move the other palm up to your chest. We're going to vocalize an ah sound with each exhale 4 or 5 times. And feel the vibrations of that ah in the space of the chest. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the mouth. One more time. And place the hands, the palms of the hands, very gently around the throat. An even softer ah, feeling for the vibration in the throat column 4 or 5 times. Fingertips now very lightly on the forehead. And we'll just hum, focusing on that elongated M sound, feeling for the vibrations in the skull 4 or 5 times. Special attention on the bridge of the nose. Cheekbones. Release the hands so the arms are by your sides, palms facing up or down, whichever you prefer. And letting go of vocalizing the breath while maintaining that awareness of the vibrations that the breath instigates. Continue to feel into the very subtle vibrations of the breath. And perhaps notice a rippling sensation from wherever the breath initiates outward throughout the entire expanse of the physical body, and perhaps even beyond. If there's any sensation of creating the breath or creating the vibrations, allow the act of creation to be resolved, and instead just be with that which was already created. Begin to feel into those subtle vibrations once again, and ride those little waves back to the senses, inviting the ears once again to hear the sounds within the range of hearing. The skin to register any subtle sensations of air, temperature, texture. Feel into the internal sensations of muscles, joints, organs, bones, breath, heartbeat. Play with some simple movement, wiggling the fingers or toes, stretching the arms and legs. And then gently roll to one side, knees bent, curling into a fetal position. And savor this moment of transition. Be fully present in the in-between. When you feel ready, rise to a comfortable seat. And again, notice how your mind interprets comfortable seat, and if it actually is imposing discomfort in order to meet some sort of externally validation seeking expectation. And on second thought, what is actually a comfortable seat? Enjoy a few full-bodied breaths. And then again, bring the palms of the hands together and begin to engage with that gentle caress. So rubbing the hands lightly against one another, feeling into the fingertips and the spaces between. Maybe run the palms of the hands along the arms, up through the shoulders, through the collarbones, the chest, through the neck, face, hair, hover the eyes briefly with the palms of the hands. Take another full breath. Blink the eyes open into the hands. Let a little bit of the light from the outside world begin to peek through. And then move the hands away from the face and allow the eyes to slowly take in the surroundings. I will let you go before my allergies really get the better of me. Springtime in Tuscany. And just say thank you for being here. Thanks for giving me a portion of your precious time. I hope that it served you well. Reach out if there is anything else I can do or offer to be in support of you on your journey. It will be an honor and a joy. Take care. See you soon. Ciao, ciao.